One of the education's essential tasks is to help in recognizing our role and our individual as well as collective responsibilities as active members of the global community. It gives the opportunity and competence to reflect and share different points of view and different roles within a global, interconnected society.
As we face more complexity in society, more uncertainty, more diversity, and much more inequality. So global education serves to equip people to live together in the world, addressing these different dimensions of globalizing societies that probably were not so much a priority in the past.
The aim of global education is to understand and discuss complex relationships of common social, ecological, political, and economic issues, in order to derive new ways of thinking and acting.
If I ask the question usually, do you consider yourself a global citizen, people feel a bit uncomfortable. But once we start probing as educationalists and we start looking at our different identities and how we are connected with other people, then people start seeing things slowly in a different way. That is why I believe in education on global issues.
Identities are a construction, depending on the social environment we live in.
The idea that identities are socially constructed is coming from a movement in the social sciences called the discursive turn. And this movement emphasizes the way that social hierarchies are all actually constructed. So we come to being our gender, our class, or our ethnicity by ways of the construction of meaning around us.
In order to build the notion of being a global citizen into our identities, we need to have the supporting social impulses. Global education is often aimed at young people. It is becoming more and more present in the educational systems around the globe. The young people who were born into the globalized world consider themselves global citizens.
We know very little of what actually shapes the perception and the sense of identity of young people. And we always assume that citizenship is one of them, but I think we have to go much deeper and actually analyze what shapes their identities and then decide what will be our approaches to young people and that whole sense of responsibility, both at a national level and a global level. And I think if you look, for example, at the youth movements at the moment, they are sparked by local concerns, and I think that's a very, very important message for us working in global education, that you could say, hey, hang on a second, you're all global citizens as well, but real movement or real sense of engagement probably starts at local concerns or concerns that are very close to you. And I think it's our challenge to look at those concerns, look at those issues, and then make the connection to how are those local concerns and issues connected to the wider world and to the concerns and hopes of other people across the globe.
Efforts of bringing global education into all pores of the society are visible also in Slovenia, where NGOs, ministries and other governmental institutions are cooperating to achieve a common goal.
It was actually in 2010 when Sloga, our national platform, approached the ministry with the request that more concrete steps, more concrete actions, activities should be undertaken in the context of global education, especially in the education system. So at that point we decided together with Sloga that we would establish an informal, in the beginning, an informal interministerial working group for the purpose of promoting the global education topics, in the end to enable a more systematic approach to global education in Slovenia.
One field of work of this working group is promoting the idea of global education within the ministries and governmental offices.
We're trying to encourage different ministries to incorporate the idea of global education in their field of work as much as they can.
The other arena of their actions is at the level of the education system, where they are cooperating with the Ministry of Education.
They actually suggested to us that we should maybe first take a look at the already existing instruments and mechanisms in the education system and try to use them for the purpose of promoting global education. One of the results is that this year, in November, we will be organizing a national seminar for teachers on global education. The activities for global education are also in the catalogue for extracurricular activities for this school year, and it's the NGOs who are actually providing these activities. And there's another project I would like to mention. It's the so-called innovation project. That is also an instrument that has been already existing in the framework of the National Education Institute. And it's actually basically a project which can bring about novelties to the curricula. So we still have to work on this, but it's something we identified as really interesting.
We have a lot of projects by our teachers and children, but I don't think that this is all. What can we do in the way for more global and sustainable society? This is not just to put maybe the human rights things or more context in geography about the world. It's more, I think, rethinking about people who will cope with people on the other side of the earth. It's more about learning how to learn to cope with other peoples who have maybe different habits, different aims, different approaches, different strategies. And this, I think, it's a challenge for our schools too in the future.
It is education that opens people's eyes and minds to the realities of the globalized world and awakens them to bring about a world of greater justice, equity, and human rights for all.
I basically believe that because people become anonymous in a globalized world, we no longer can empathize with their reality. But I think once we get to know the face behind the product, once we get to know the life story behind someone we are anonymously connected with, then we will change, because then it will become more of a personal story.
Global education aims to empower us with better understanding of global problems and provide us with the knowledge, skills, values and attitudes we need as citizens of the world in order to cope with global challenges.
I believe that we are global citizens by default, specifically because I think that the jeans I'm wearing connects me to someone who did it. The coffee I drink in the morning connects me. So I really believe that by default we are global citizens, but living our daily lives in a territory, in a smaller area where then we can build stronger relationships.
Global citizenship has become a major concept fostered by global education. But despite being continuously used, it often remains undefined and abstract. What is the relation between global citizenship and national citizenship? Are they a contradiction or two sides of the same coin? Can we be both a global and a national citizen at the same time?
So governments are really concerned about national identities, but I don't know if people on the ground, they understand these identities in the same way. We have multiple identities, we have multiple affiliations, and nationalities are construction. So the world as you know it, the nation states as we know it, were only possible after the Second World War. So the boundaries, the national boundaries, are more fluid than we would like to, or the nation states would like to understand them.
In global education, we sometimes try to go straight to the kind of more abstract level of global citizenship, and we forget sometimes to ask who are actually our citizens. Do we know them? Do we know of their hopes? Do we know of their concerns? Do we know of their multi-layered identities? And if we start to ask those questions, it gets really complicated. So citizens are complicated, and global citizens are even more complicated.
So can we be both? Of course we can. We are both all the time. It depends on what we prioritize at the moment, what kind of identity comes forth when we are encountering other people in different situations.
I mean, I understand that whatever I do locally in a globalized world has global ramifications. If I shop from my local grocer, I'm still governed by World Trade Organization rules. So somehow it is learning how to work across the two levels at the same time.
Global education encourages questioning our own thoughts and perspectives. It explores roots of mainstream and alternative intellectual, social, political, and economic paradigms in order to bring about a world of greater justice for all, in order to empower every person and increase awareness of an individual's impact on the global system.
I basically believe that we need to access knowledge first. We need to really know how we are connected with others. We really need to know how the daily thing which we do as shopping. That is why I am a firm believer in fair trade, because somehow fair trade makes me realize that my daily act of shopping connects me and that I have a choice. I have the power to choose whether to support a system that perpetuates poverty or whether to support a system that helps people go out of poverty. So first knowledge and then the skills to act on that knowledge in a productive way.